Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing, where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago, where have all the graveyards gone? Grown to flowers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will we ever learn? Thank you.
Thank you, John, very much. Excuse me. Good morning, and welcome everybody to Unity by the Sea. You'll notice that we aren't having terribly hot weather, and there's a reason for that. And it's John's doing, because heat is a bit of a challenge for him. And so, to surprise me, he bought an air conditioner. Kind of a room thing, but nonetheless, we have him to thank for the fact that we're not going to be having 90-degree weather, because now he won't have to use the air conditioner, but he made the investment so that we don't have to deal with the high heat. Thank you, dear. Thank you so very much. Yes, absolutely. And just out of curiosity, did you put it on my credit card? Well, you can thank me, too. Anyway, good morning. Nice to see all of you here today. And, of course, we have Lorena as our speaker today.
Thank you.
Which is always a treat.
Thank you.
And also we have John Meyer with us today. That is always also a treat. So thank you both for being here.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's my turn to light the Christ candle. And you know, every Sunday we do this, and it's strictly meant to be a visual reminder of the Christ light that is within all of us at all points in time. Anytime something's going on, or there's an issue, or you're down, or even when you're up and things are really great, then it's a matter of, oh, thank you. You know, gratitude's really important. And if you're down, it's, oh, thank you, you're there. I'm not by myself. So it works for that just absolutely wonderfully. And at this point in time, I'm going to ask Rev Lorena to do our opening prayer.
Let's go into prayer. Sweet Spirit, yes, gratitude is so important, and so we start our day with those simple words, simple yet powerful. Thank you. Thank you for a new day. Thank you for breathing me. Thank you for the sunshine. Thank you for the clouds. Thank you for this wonderful place together. And so we come together today and we open our minds to maybe a new perspective. We open our hearts to love. We open our arms to each other. And we remember those words as we go through our day. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. And let's sing a song. So we have words in your bulletin for I woke up this morning. The verses changed, but we're going to do spirit, love, peace, and then we're going to add joy in there, which I didn't get in there. So if you don't know it, it's simple. I know you'll catch on quickly.
We end there, right?
What's that?
And we end at joy.
And we end at joy. That's right, because we always want to end in joy. Here we go. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Okay, love. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on love. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on love. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on love. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Peace. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on peace. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on peace. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on peace. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Joy. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on joy. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on joy. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on joy. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Nice. Very, very nice. And Rose is going to be reading the daily word for us. Thank you.
Good morning. Today is on divine expression. I am designed to see light and love. Ralph Waldo Emerson described prayer as the soliloquy of a beholding and jubilant soul. Divine Spirit is always inviting me to behold the love within my heart and to celebrate it. I was born with an unlimited capacity of joy and love, so it is easy for me to live as the jubilant soul Emerson identified. When I pray, I acknowledge truth's expression in my being. I acknowledge the divine expression in all living things. I release any preconceived images and ideas about people and situations, and instead behold the divine in each one. From this higher viewpoint, I see goodness in all. With a gladness of heart, I embrace my proclivity to see the divine in me and around me.
Your what?
Proclivity, okay.
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
For in him we live and move and have our being. And even some of your own poets have said, for we too are his offspring. Acts 17:28.
Thank you so much.
That was a mouthful.
Well, and it didn't help that it was hyphenated. Part of it's up here and the rest of it's down on the next line. That doesn't usually help a great deal.
My turn?
Yes, it is your turn.
My turn.
There you are. It is your turn.
Hi, gang.
Hello, John.
All right. I'm liking the weather because God's busy watering my plants today, so I don't have to. That's a good thing. But I have observed that even though God's busy watering my plants, he's here too, because God can dance and chew gum at the same time. So it's all good. All right, next week, June 4th, Reverend Gene Celia, Mike Test doing the tunes. So Gene's always a good show, so we're going to be here for that. I have a message that I received from Sandra Combs. It was a beautiful message, so I didn't want to improve on it. I just want to read what we got. Many of you already know. My darling, precious husband passed over to the next journey of the soul at 6:38 p.m. on Wednesday, May 24th. We were able to cross the finish with him, completing his wishes. He was outdoors in the sun without any breathing assistance, with all his family with him, and the sun shining on his face outside, and the gray sky opened up, and beautiful blue sky and mild temperature. We played his favorite singers, and at the very end, the entire family sang a James Taylor. It was truly sacred. So, that's long. Moving on. Okay, we have already accumulated $36 towards our $3,500 goal to acquire a golf cart and a house to put it in. That's over 1%. Now, we believe this would be a fun way. This is kind of the picture of one that I kind of had my eye on, and Terry shared with me this morning another idea that might be even gooder, or good as good anyway. Whatever.
Which makes it gooder.
Yeah.
This little guy's straight legal. We could actually drive him. What, Nellie?
I have my grandson give me a go-go car, and it works a lot better than what...
You don't know how this works, but that's fine if there's other ideas. If there's other ideas, I'm certainly open to them. However, before we do anything, we have to accumulate the money. Now, we believe this would be a really fun way to solve a serious problem here at Unity by the Sea. For some, our staircase is a bit difficult to negotiate, if not downright dangerous. In the past, we have allowed cars to use the lawn outside to alleviate the problem, but that area is our leach field for our septic system, and we need to stop driving on top of it. We would use our golf cart, or whatever it is, to ferry folks up here from where the action is to down there where the bathrooms are. There are not really any financially achievable ways to accomplish this otherwise. So it all boils down to how much we want to give back to this little church that has given us so much. We'll run this campaign a little longer to see if there's any interest. If not, we'll just drop it and move on. You have a handout in your bulletin discussing it. If you wish to make a donation towards this project, put it in one of the envelopes and mark it for the golf cart to distinguish it from your regular donation. Thank you.
We have some envelopes ordered that did not get here in time that we're going to distinguish the difference between our regular donation envelopes. But due to the wonderful, wonderful mail service, they did not get here in time. So they aren't in your bulletins this week, and that's why. Okay, at this point in time, I talk about the prayer box, and this being the last Sunday of the month, they will be collected up as of today and sent back to Silent Unity, where they will be prayed over for an additional month in the Silent Unity Chapel. So if you have something to go in there today, put it in the brass bowls in the back corner, and I will see to it that they are mailed in this week. Okay, and now let's do our May affirmation. You'll find your little card there, and this is the last Sunday in May, so it's the last time we're going to do this particular one. So together, please, with the one for Unity by the Sea. Unity by the Sea is a vibrant, loving, energetic activity of God. And for ourselves, I am a vibrant, loving, energetic activity of God. And now I think John's up again.
All these energetic activities of God, like dancing and chewing gum and watering gardens. All right. So I got a song here called Holy Now. You know, this is my patent pending anyway. It's called the Extendo Stand. I'm going to make $1 million and be able to retire.
Amen.
How's this going now?
I'm going to leave it to you.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church. pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would hear about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, the miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick, that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, finding where there isn't one. Whoa. When holy water was rare at best, I barely wet my fingertips. Now I gotta hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. Used to be a world half there, heaven second-rate hand-me-down. Now I walk with reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Oh, everything is holy now. 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 Read a questioning child's face. Say it's not a testament. It would be very hard to say. See another new morning come. Say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. Whoa. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird, shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. 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 And everything is holy now. 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 Thanks.
Good morning. I love that song. It gets stuck in your head, doesn't it? Everything's holy. Good thing to have stuck in your head. Who wrote that one, John?
Peter Mayer.
Peter Mayer.
Oh, really? I'll find somebody else out.
Lots of people do it. Yeah, you hear it in lots of different versions because it's such a great song, right? Sign of a great song. So this morning, our title is Peace is Every Step. And we're going to be talking a little bit. I'm using the book from Thich Nhat Hanh, Peace is Every Step. And so we're going to learn a little bit about his thinking. It seemed appropriate on this weekend where we celebrate Memorial Weekend and we honor those who've died in military service pursuing peace. Right? So Thich Nhat Hanh, he was born in Vietnam. If you don't know him, he was born in Vietnam in 1926, and he became a Buddhist monk at the age of 16. During the war in Vietnam, he worked tirelessly for reconciliation between North and South Vietnam. His lifelong efforts to generate peace moved Martin Luther King Jr. to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1967. That same year, he was banned by both the non-communist and communist governments for his role in undermining the violence he saw affecting his people. Isn't that interesting? He's never been allowed to return home. The government still sees him as a threat, which is interesting when one considers the subjects of his teaching: respect for life, generosity, responsible sexual behavior, loving communication, and cultivation of a healthful lifestyle. He now lives in exile in a small community in France where he teaches, writes, gardens, and works to help refugees worldwide. He has created a retreat center, Plum Village, where they practiced what he calls engaged Buddhism. And I calculated, and now you'll probably get my calculation, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he's 91.
What's that?
91, because you're going to be 90, right?
I'll be 90.
That's right. And so Thich Nhat Hanh is 91. And so what an interesting man, right? And the paradoxes that are playing out in his life. He's banned from one country at the same time he's being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize somewhere else. I mean, it's fascinating what happens. And as I was reading through this book, he talks about, he has a lot of great thoughts. And he says, in terms of the peace movement, can the peace movement talk in loving speech, showing the way for peace? I think that will depend on whether the people in the peace movement can be peace. Because without being peace, we cannot do anything for peace. If we cannot smile, we cannot help other people smile. If we are not peaceful, then we cannot contribute to the peace movement. Peace work means, first of all, being peace. I love that because I think we forget that. We start going outside, doing all of these things to create peace when we're not being peace. And how can we create something that we're not? And he talks about his time with the Vietnam War when he talks about the roots of war. And it's really interesting because he said, let me read you this. In 1966, when I was in the U.S. calling for a ceasefire to the war in Vietnam, a young American peace activist stood up during a talk I was giving and shouted, "The best thing you can do is go back to your country and defeat the American aggressors. You shouldn't be here. There's absolutely no use to your being here." He says he and many Americans, the gentleman who said that, he and many Americans wanted peace, but the kind of peace they wanted was the defeat of one side in order to satisfy their anger. He says, but we Vietnamese who were suffering under the bombs had to be more realistic. We wanted peace too. We did not care about anyone's victory or defeat. We just wanted the bombs to stop falling on us. And he said to the aggressor, he said, "Sir, it seems to me that many of the roots of the war are here in your country. That is why I have come. One of the roots is your way of seeing the world. Both sides are victims of a wrong policy, a policy that believes in the force of violence to settle problems. I do not want Vietnamese to die, and I do not want American soldiers to die either. The roots of war are in the way we live our daily lives, the way we develop our industries, build our society, and consume goods. We have to look deeply into the situation, and we will see the roots of war. We cannot just blame one side or the other. We have to transcend the tendency to take sides. During any conflict, we need people who can understand the suffering of all sides. Practicing nonviolence is, first of all, to become nonviolence. Then, when a difficult situation presents itself, we will react in a way that will help the situation. This applies to problems of the individual, problems to the family, and problems of society. And isn't that so powerful? So peace isn't about fighting a war to conquer, to win, to have a victory. If there's a victory and a defeat, it's not peace. It's not peace. And I think these words are so powerful because we think about them as in society, and we're having so much happen in our world now. But as he was saying, first we must look at ourselves. And have you set up an environment of war within yourself, of conflict, where there's a victory and a defeat, where you have good things and you have bad things, where you have things that you want to embrace and things that you want to get rid of? That's not peace, nor can you find peace when it's that way. He says peace is about acceptance. Peace is about learning that we all have a place. We all come ultimately from the same place. And we have different paths to go where we're going. None are good, none are bad. They're just different. And when we can get to that place, that's when we'll find peace. And when I think about that, I always think about peace and tolerance. And maybe I've talked about this before, but sometimes we get to the place where we think I can tolerate this. Well, that's not peaceful either. Because when you think of tolerance, or when I think of tolerance, what it means is, when I have it inside of myself, it means that I say I'm going to let you be or do what you're doing, which sounds good, sounds like acceptance, but at the same time, what's happening in me is judgment, right? I'm going to say, okay, you can do what you're doing, but I think that's so wrong, right? But I'm going to tolerate it. But that's not peace. True acceptance means that what you're presenting on the outside is a direct reflection of what you're presenting on the inside. That's acceptance. That's how you set up a peaceful environment. So is there things in you that maybe you're having a hard time accepting? Until you can accept all parts of yourself, just as until we can accept all peoples of the world, all cultures of the world, there won't be peace. And we cannot start a war to get peace. We cannot fight for peace. Peace is peace. He says every day we do things that have to do with peace. If we are aware of our life, our way of looking at things, we will know how to make peace right in the moment. We are alive. So it's about coming back to the present moment. And he says, waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. And so I ask you, as I ask myself, when you open your eyes in the morning, do you say that? Well, sometimes I'm in the place where I can get out a thank you, but I'm not sure I've ever said, I wake up this morning and I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. Think of that. 24 glorious, precious hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. That's powerful. If we could say that every morning, think how that shifts you. It shifts you into gratitude. It shifts you into acceptance. It shifts you into joy and to being fully present. I think I'll type that out for myself, and maybe I'll send that to John, and if anybody wants it, we can email it out. And see how that feels to say that. Keep it right by your bed, so when you open your eyes, you remember, because, right, once you get out of bed and you start your day, you know, right, you may forget. So before your feet even hit the floor, I smile, right? It not only sets an intention, but it's a reminder for yourself that it starts here, right? It starts here. And it really determines how your days go, what comes into your life. So engage Buddhism. I love this because he says we cannot just sit in a hall and meditate. We can do that and in some way symbolically sit in your own hall and meditate, get quiet, be still. But if we want to make a difference, then we have to take that mindset and we have to go out with it. Just be in the world with it. It's not about conversion or that going out like that. It's about walking that, being that. We have to leave our place of solitude to come out into the world. And he says if you want to know if you've truly grown and transformed and transcended something, which is what meditation helps us do, then what you do is you need to come out into the world and see the people face to face that you've been meditating about, right? That you've been working through something about to transform. You'll know if you've done it when you meet the person face to face. That's the real test, right? Yes, I let it go. I've meditated for hours. I've let it go. I'm so free. And here this person is in front of me and it's right there again, right? Anybody else have that experience? Right, and you want to do that, right? And we say, that is not peace. Oops, back to the meditation. Let's try this again. Let's try this again, and let's come out and see. It's a practice. It's a practice. So that's what engage Buddhism about. And I would say just engage life. It's a practice. And to know, right, because we're practicing accepting all parts of ourselves, that if that's part still there, we love it. We love it. And we say, okay, we're working on that. We're working on that. He says, when another person makes you suffer, it is because he suffers deeply within himself. And his suffering is spilling over. He does not need punishment. He needs help. That's the message he is sending. Have you ever heard everything is either an expression of love or a call for love? That's what he's saying. So if somebody is in front of you and you don't feel exactly like what they're expressing to you is love, then what that probably means is that they're calling for love. They're needing love. And when you respond in that place of not being loving, you're contributing to the problem. So it's really about, are we part of the problem or are we part of the solution? So he has the people at Plum Village, which is the retreat center that he has started, they practice what he calls the precepts of the order of interbeing. And they have 14 of them, but I want to just talk briefly about 5, because these are a great way for us to check in with ourselves to see if we are peace. So one of them is to learn and practice non-attachment from views in order to be open to receive others' viewpoint. Truth is found in life and not merely in conceptual knowledge. So he says, do not think that the knowledge you presently possess is changeless or absolute truth. Avoid being narrow-minded and bound to present views. So non-attachment. Non-attachment, sometimes we think non-attachment to people, non-attachment to things, but non-attachment also to your views. Like you have them, but they can change, and they aren't the only way, right? Another one is to live simply and share time, energy, and material resources with those who are in need. Don't accumulate just for the sake of accumulating, right? Share. It's a cycle. It's a cycle of life. We give out, we take in. And then another one, make every effort to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. If we can do that as they come up, because they will come up, right? Being peace doesn't mean that we never have conflict. Being peace means that we're not afraid of it. And we can be mindful and present to it in the moment that it's happening so that we can address it. Because have you ever had the experience, as I have, I'm sure, that when you don't address something and you kind of sweep it under the rug, it doesn't go away. As much as we would like, it does not go away. It grows, as a matter of fact. It grows bigger and bigger, right? And pretty soon, you're doing this dance around that conflict because you don't want to address it. And then the amount of life you have is smaller and smaller and smaller because the conflict has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And so he says if we practice addressing them in the moment that they happen, it's much easier to be at peace and to be peace. And then the next one he says is, do not spread news that you do not know to be certain. Do not criticize or condemn things that you are not sure of. Always speak truthfully and constructively in the moment. I like this one because I think we have a tendency to do this. We make assumptions, right? And all of those assumptions come from our past when we think about that. And it's so easy to do because it's an easy way to see the world. But if we can be present to the moment now, then we can take what's happening now or hear what's happening now and just let it be what it is. We don't have to create stories around it. We don't have to make it something that it isn't. And part of that is being able and being willing, we were laughing about this morning, to sit in the mystery and the uncertainty. As I was looking through my bookshelf the other day, I came across this book that was called The Art of Uncertainty. And I'm thinking, ooh, I'm going to have to read that one. It's on my shelf. I don't know where it came from, but it's obviously there for a reason. But I love that, The Art of Uncertainty. Because I think there is an art to learning to be okay with uncertainty. And then one more, he says, do not mistreat your body. Learn to handle it with respect. Whatever that means for you, right? Remember that our body is what we have in this lifetime to move around, to be at peace. And so how can we treat it the best way that we can to honor that temple that is us? And then I think when we can do that, when we can practice those things, it's much easier to be at peace with ourselves. And then when we're at peace within ourselves, we can help create peace in the world. Because I think the interesting thing about peace that we sometimes forget is that we think we have to make it. We have to create peace. But peace is just a natural state of being. And when you're in it, that Christ light that's within you shines so brightly that when you walk into a room, everybody feels it. And by nature, what you're doing is you're bringing peace into that room, into that situation. There's nothing you have to do to make it be. It just is. We just are. And I'd like to close. He has a beautiful little story about the river. And I love that image of the water. It's so powerful. And we're here at the ocean. And so I want to read this little story to you. He says, once upon a time, there was a beautiful river finding her way among the hills, forests, and meadows. She began by being a joyful stream of water, a spring always dancing and singing as she ran down from the top of the mountain. She was very young at the time, and as she came to the lowlands, she slowed down. She was thinking about going to the ocean. As she grew up, she learned to look beautiful, winding gracefully among the hills and meadows. One day, she noticed the clouds within herself. Clouds of all sorts of colors and form. She did nothing during these days but chase after clouds. She wanted to possess a cloud, to have one for herself. But clouds float and travel in the sky, and they are always changing their form. Sometimes they look like an overcoat, sometimes like a horse. Because of the nature of impermanence within the clouds, the river suffered very much. Her pleasure, her joy had become just chasing after clouds, one after another, but despair, anger, and hatred became her life. Then one day, a strong wind came and blew away all the clouds in the sky. The sky became completely empty. Our river thought that life was not worth living, for there were no longer any clouds to chase after. She wanted to die. If there are no clouds, why should I be alive? But how can a river take her own life? That night, the river had the opportunity to go back to herself for the first time. She had been running for so long after something outside of herself that she had never even seen herself. That night was the first opportunity for her to hear her own crying, the sounds of water crashing against the banks of the river. Because she was able to listen to her own voice, she discovered something quite important. She realized that what she had been looking for was already in herself. She found out that clouds are nothing but water. Clouds are born from water and will return to water. And she found out that she herself is also water. The next morning, when the sun was in the sky, she discovered something beautiful. She saw the blue sky for the first time. She had never noticed it before. She had only been interested in clouds, and she had missed seeing the sky, which is the home of all the clouds. Clouds are impermanent, but the sky is stable. She realized that the immense sky had been within her heart since the very beginning. This great insight brought her peace and happiness. As she saw the vast, wonderful blue sky, she knew that her peace and stability would never be lost again. That afternoon, the clouds returned, but this time she did not want to possess any of them. She could see the beauty of each cloud, and she was able to welcome all of them. When a cloud came by, she would greet him or her with loving kindness. When that cloud wanted to go away, she would wave to him or her happily with loving kindness. She realized that all clouds are her. She didn't have to choose between the clouds and herself. Peace and harmony existed between her and the clouds. That evening, something wonderful happened. When she opened her heart completely to the evening sky, she received the image of the full moon, beautiful, round, like a jewel within herself. She had never imagined that she could receive such a beautiful image. There is a very beautiful poem in Chinese. The fresh and beautiful moon is traveling in the utmost empty sky. When the mind rivers of living beings are free, that image of the beautiful moon will reflect in each of us. This was the mind of the river at that moment. She received the image of that beautiful moon within her heart, and water, clouds, and moon took each other's hands and practiced walking meditation slowly, slowly to the ocean. Let's go into meditation. So if you'd like to get comfortable in your chairs and put your feet on the floor, close your eyes, whatever feels good for you. I have a song that I want to do today for meditation. Karen Drucker put the music to it, but it's based on a Navajo poem called In Beauty May I Walk. In beauty may I walk all day long. May I walk through the seasons. May I walk. May I walk in peace on this path. May I walk through my life. May I walk in old age. May I walk. May I walk in peace. In joy, may I walk. In love, may I walk. In gratitude, may I walk. May I walk in peace. In stillness, may I walk. In forgiveness, may I walk. In loving kindness, may I walk. May I walk in peace. In peace. In peace. May we all walk in peace. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Okay, this is our time for our giving of our tithes and offerings. So if you'd like to take your gift out and hold it in your hand, and we'll say the affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yes, and how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? Ah, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? Yes, and how many years must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head, pretending he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Let's go into prayer. Sweet Spirit, we're so grateful for this loving community, and we're so grateful for these gifts who will nourish each of us individually and our community, both here and as a whole, in the bigger scheme of things, because we know that in the giving is the receiving. For that, we're so grateful, and we say thank you, God.
Charles is going to do this in our peace statement and in our statement to attain peace. And you'll find it in your bulletins.
Let's read together. Unity stands for peace in the presence
of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, the many ways to worship God. For there is only one power and presence of God, and that God loves each of us equally. It is therefore the position of unity to urge all nations, their leaders and the people, to turn to God by whatever name for guidance during these challenging times, and to pursue peace, not war, for this is what honors the God of all of our faith traditions. Unity stands for peace in our lifetime.
If you'll turn it over, I'll lead with the Isaiah quote. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. And they shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord.
I will not be part of the killing of any child, no matter how lofty the reason. Not my neighbor's child, not my enemy's child, not by bomb, not by bullet, not by looking the other way. I will be the power that is peace.
Okay, let's circle up and close with the peace song. Okay, go ahead.
At this time, I invite anyone that would like to go into our circle of love. Any concerns you have and prayers you have, you do not have to speak it, thinking that God knows what needs to be taken care of and what's on your heart. I invite you to do that.
All refugees,
Okay, let's sing. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And let's close with a prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Go and be peace.
Okay, there are some goodies downstairs because Life brought them today. And I think there's
But where are the hamburgers?